Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I just did a video, and that video was on TikTok. And in that video, I am talking to people. Sorry, I got to get rid of the second one. Would y'all stop it? Sorry, I just gave them. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. That's when they wake up. Now, I didn't have to wake up. I've been up since 1 o'clock. And that's my audience. I just did a video on TikTok, and I was talking about being principled. Now, I tell people I'm one of Jehovah's Witnesses. I don't just say I'm one of Jehovah's Witnesses because it's the thing to say. I say I'm one of Jehovah's Witnesses. Oh, this is the daily text. We go, those of us who choose to. It's not mandatory. We go over this on a daily basis. Yes, I miss certain days because of scheduling and distractions, but I try to make up for it. We also benefit when we take time to study about and meditate on the deeper things of God's Word. We can have a steadfast heart, trusting fully in Jehovah. This is what I try to do every day of my life. Proverbs, to trust in Jehovah with all of my heart. Why? Well, this is what he says he's looking for. We're going to take a trip. We're going to go this one. Excuse me. There is something going around, and give me a second. Matter of fact, let's go here. I often miss because I don't have it. I gotta admit to y'all, my memory ain't what it used to be. Okay, so it's 1 Corinthians, not 2 Corinthians. I'm losing my mind. No, I'm not losing it. As I told people, it's going to be a troublesome couple of years coming. Wait a minute. I got the wrong one. I'm sorry. I might have to put y'all on pause to get to it. Whew. Yep, I was probably right. I was probably in 2 Corinthians on the right tip the first time. Oh, Lordy. It's my fault. I'm telling y'all, it's my fault. Okay? But I do have to go look for it because it ain't where I thought it was. And you're going to see what I'm looking at, why I'm off. I'm off only by a smidget. Hold on 1 second. Ladies and gentlemen, I was right. Stop listening. Stop listening. All right, I was right the second time, not the first time. I always get it wrong the first time, but I was right the second time. And the only problem is I reversed the numbers in my head. Okay, I'll show you in a moment. I went to 2 Corinthians 4:2. Okay? And when I didn't find it here, I went to 1 Corinthians 2:4 instead of 1 Corinthians 4:2. 1 Corinthians 4:2 is where I should have been. And don't want to do that. I want to highlight. In this regard, what is expected of stewards is that they be found faithful. Let's look up what steward means. Y'all don't mind, do y'all? Because it's important that we find out what the word steward means. So we're going to go and take up the word steward. Now, we'll see, not that one. Give me 1 second. Steward of the sacred secret, steward of God's undeserved kindness, overseers. Well, we're not going to talk about the unrighteous ones. We're going to talk about the faithful ones. Ladies and gentlemen, a steward is someone who takes an assignment and handles that assignment. They have an assignment. That's why you hear of a stewardess or a steward on a ship and on an aircraft. Steward. Let's look up the word steward and let's see what we can get from the word steward. I did not do it. Excuse me. Can you? It won't even let me drag and drop. I'm sorry, I've never tried to drag and drop with this before, but now I know it won't let me drag and drop. I might update the program so that it will let me drag and drop. We're going to go to the Insight book, and since it's S, we're going to go, where you at, Stuart? It's not here. There it is. Whew. One placed in charge of a household or certain property belonging to another. Given responsibility with something that is not your own. Now, I've been given that responsibility several times. I've always told people, whenever I took on a job, I treated the job as if it was mine. Whenever somebody has asked me to help them with their business, and I used to do that, I don't do that anymore. I used to help people with their businesses. Their business was struggling and they called me in because I was good at it without trying to be good at it. But I would tell them one thing: let me do what I do, stay out of my way, and remember, I am in charge while I'm doing this. They would have to agree or I wouldn't work with them. Why? Because I had to treat it as if it was my own. Because if it's mine, I'm going to take care of it. I'm not going to discard it. I'm not going to treat it as trash. So I've always done that. Apartment buildings I was managing, companies I ran as manager, I treated it as if it was my own. You gave me an assignment to handle something. I'm going to be honest with you. My favorite job out of all the jobs I've had, and I'm not going to joke about this, was dishwashing. You better believe I could handle some dishwashing. I could handle some machines. I enjoyed it. No matter how much, I may have complained from time to time because they would throw so much on me. We'll take care of you later. But I enjoyed dishwashing. Whenever I would go get a job, that was the first thing. Hey, let me do dishwashing. Really? Yeah. Okay. I just need to walk through a little bit of how your machine works, and that's it. Man, dishwashing. Then they would always take me away from dishwashing. No, we got something else for you to do. No, you need to be doing this, that, and the other. And I wouldn't argue with them, but I like dishwashing. Sorry, it's just the way it is. That's why technically it was one of the first jobs I ever did. Whenever I went to a Jehovah's Witness assembly and we went to the Dodger Stadium, I would always be around dishwashing. So I would always handle the machines. And then when I worked for the hospital, St. Francis Medical, in Linwood, California, my first official job, I was sterilizing medical equipment. Okay? That's what I did. All of the surgical equipment went through me. I was the person in charge of that. Not 3 or 4 of the people. No, I was the only person in charge of that. And I'm 15 years old. Okay? So I've always enjoyed it. I don't know what it is. It's just, it was a routine. Step by step. Do this, do that, do this, do that. And it was just a routine. And I just went through my routine. Wasn't boring. It literally was constant. And it was, to me, worthwhile. I know needless information, too much of it, huh? All right, let's get back to this steward. Okay. Hey, would y'all stop that? I'm not getting y'all no more water. Ladies and gentlemen, in less than a week, they've gone through 10 gallons of water. You must understand, not bathing in it, drinking. 10 gallons of water. I am not joking. I wish I could joke about something like that. 10 gallons! God. Lord have mercy. And they're drinking my good water. They're not drinking the regular water. Well, we have well water, and then we have the water I go that's filtered. Oh, God. And they are drinking my water. Okay? Anyway, a steward might be a freeman or a trusted slave. The unrighteous steward, to whom Jesus refers to in one of the illustrations, seems to be pictured as a freeman. This is the one who was getting ready to be fired. And he goes ahead and works out deals with the person who owes his master. Because he calls him a master, it doesn't mean he's a slave. It just means that he works for someone else. So he does something for the master. That's because that's the word Jesus is using. He's not using the modern day connotation of master. Got to understand that. And he tells them, well done, unrighteous slave, for you were unfaithful in certain things, but you proved yourself, blah, 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 blah. Okay, that's that story. We're going to go back so that you guys will understand. In this regard, what regard? A man should regard us as attendants of Christ and stewards of God's sacred secret. In this regard, respecting Jehovah and his sacred secret, what is expected in a steward, those who are entrusted with this sacred secret and God's word, is that they be found faithful to the stewardship. Ladies and gentlemen, at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm getting ready to start doing some work on clients' files and everything. Because I decided, no, I'm not going back to sleep. I'll get some sleep later this afternoon because this is a consult day, and after that consult, I'm going to sleep. Anywho, ladies and gentlemen, I was going over principles. Being a person of principle. You know, the unique thing about it is that's my core. I don't care about anything else. I am a principle person. I will stick to principle. Why? Because my God is a God of principles. He's not a God of rules and laws and regulations. Yeah, the Ten Commandments. That was only designed to show man that they could never complete what they said they were going to complete. At Mount Sinai, they said, anything you tell us, we will do. And if any man should disobey, he should be put to death. And they violated that agreement every single turn. He gave them the law to prove that they were imperfect. And the law was designed so that only one person could fulfill it. A perfect man. None of them were perfect. They were all imperfect, and thus they could never fulfill the law. So all of the sacrifices of goats and sheep and cattle, ladies and gentlemen, those sacrifices didn't amount to anything. They only symbolized something. That's why they would sacrifice hundreds of thousands of sheep and hundreds of thousands of goats. And yes, they were farmers, they were herders, they had that many of those animals. But hold on now, let's get it straight so you understand it. Not even 300 billion of them would have amounted to the saving of one life. It was only a symbol of something. It was a tutor. It was teaching us something. Some of you know exactly what I'm talking about. So, my video is giving people information, speaking on facts and law. I do this because people have asked me to. I don't do this because I want to. People, do you know how many more things I could be doing in my daily life other than sitting up here doing videos and starting companies for the benefit of people? Exactly. The things I talk about, especially when it comes to information, I'm not getting from watching somebody else's video. I'm not going and listening to somebody else going to seminars. I don't go to seminars. Why would I go to somebody else's seminar? Man, I'm sorry. Look, I'm going to let you know the way it is. Everybody thinks that they can teach me something. Why is that important to people, that they can teach me something? I'm not asking nobody to teach me anything. Do you ever hear me walking up to somebody? Just think about it. Think about, after listening to my videos, me walking up to somebody and saying, can you teach me? But people ask me to teach them things all the time. Do I have mentorships and all of that stuff? But I never, ever walked up to someone. Oh, by the way, I mentioned Yusufel and Jonah Bay, me having respect for those two. I call myself the last of the so-called gurus. Jonah Bay and Yusufel being above me. I've said that since 2011. There were a lot of people who thought I did not have any respect for Yusuf, and you guys are idiots. I've always said that those two were above me. They've been in the game longer than I have. Okay, you've never heard me once criticize Yusuf or Jonah Bay. Not once, and I never will. But I forgot to mention somebody that, Lord have mercy, and Sharif, you know who I'm talking about. Okay, Sharif. Sharif is another one of those. He is in the private. I'm not publicizing him like that. He knows who he is, that's why I'm not saying any other name. But Sharif, a lot of respect for Mr. Sharif. Why? Because these are the guys who've been there. They paved the way. They have paid the dues. And they're still there. They haven't left. They're still trying to help people. Doesn't matter if you agree. Doesn't matter if you agree with methods or ideologies. It doesn't matter. They're trying to help. I told you guys I can't think of his name. The British guy who I got part of the ladies and gentlemen thing from. And I don't know why I can't think of his name when I can. He wasn't the most accurate. But you want to know something? He was genuinely trying. Genuinely. He had to eventually walk away from the videos and everything because of his health, which has greatly improved. He found out he had cancer and he got into health and he got into bodybuilding and he got into that and greatly improved. I don't know his condition now, but I do know I checked him out a couple of years ago and was glad to see that the young man was doing okay. I can't remember his name right now and I'm not going to go search for it because it's too much. But ladies and gentlemen, I will guarantee you one thing, that if I'm talking about something, it's not because I heard somebody else talking about it. Now, you might hear me reference hearing somebody talk about something and go, oh man, and then I thought about this. Okay, for instance, we are getting ready to start a company. Oh, it's about 4 o'clock. That's when they start the roosting. That's when you hear the look, that doesn't bother me. Some people tell me that it's kind of loud. Let me let you guys know they can hear me talking, and that's the other reason why they do it. Second, they'll be doing that for about an hour. It doesn't bother me. I can sleep right through that with no problem. Okay? What happened is I was trying to do a meeting yesterday, and I needed the window open because it was 90 degrees yesterday. Got to be 92 in here. And I had to turn on the air conditioning, and I turned that air conditioning thing on. It's a portable air conditioner. I turned that thing on, and in less than 5 minutes, this place had cooled down that I had to go turn it off. I can't handle temperature change, and the temperature changed that drastically with the air conditioning on. Yeah. I'm gonna turn the temperature up, but I also have the ducks who can't handle too much cold air. What are y'all doing? You're eating straw. That's not food. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. He's got a piece of straw in his mouth like it's a fish, okay? And the other ones are trying to take it from him because they think he got a new toy or something. It's interesting. But back to the hotel. Ladies and gentlemen, for instance, I will be giving you guys some information I stumbled upon the other day. Where it's going to be that SATCOM is going to be providing this for their clients. Many of you who are already clients that we're working on, especially AmeriLegion clients, don't contact SATCOM asking them, hey, am I included? I just said AmeriLegion. AmeriLegion clients, we're going to be using this especially if you have a loan situation, okay? And all of our other clients who were handling their loans, we're going to be using this. Ladies and gentlemen, there are regulatory things out there that people can utilize to take care of the banks. Different agency that is not the Federal Reserve and is not required to keep the peace, so to speak, with the Federal Reserve. Okay? So I know. We were going at a different angle. We were using you know how Mr. Trump went and found an old law and he decided he was going to use that to deport people? You know what I'm talking about? Okay, well, we did the same thing. We found an old law that we're going to use. That's still being used today. It's just that most people don't know that this is an option. And so we have it, and we're perfecting it, and we just talked about it. I think it was Monday. And so we're going to bring it to a program near you. Okay? Look, ladies and gentlemen, the courts are ignoring your paperwork. They're ignoring you. They're ignoring your so-called arguments. You need to file a lawsuit against the bank before they start foreclosing. You need to raise certain issues before the bank before they start foreclosing. I have a guy who tells me, look, I got the money to pay these fools, but I'm not going to pay them until they prove this and that and the other. And you're right to do that. But a company has come to him and said, look, we can help you do this, we can help you do that, we can help you do this. Well, that's fine. But what I told him is accept their help. Seriously, accept their help. He doesn't need their help, but accept their help. Why? I said to keep those idiots at bay. That way you ain't worrying about 3 different things at one time. You can focus on one. And then go after them. Based on the information that E and I will be discussing in a consultation. We haven't had the consult. That was the pre-consult. Well, we've had 2 pre-consults. We've talked a couple of times. And let's just say, I'm not going to stop the way I do my consults. Please understand, it's a lot of information and it's overwhelming for the people. And I know that. Many of the people often talk about how much information it is, and they weren't expecting that much information. Well, look, let me let you know that that's the design. That's 3 hours worth of communication. Of course, you're going to get a lot of information. But we do the video. So all you got to do is go back, review the video, and stick to the separate topics of the video. Just really that simple. And look for one of those transcribing programs that takes a video and transcribes it. That way you'll actually have the wording, and now you can do keyword search and subject search and have ChatGPT or something explain it. Eventually ChatGPT will be able to take a video, an entire video that's over an hour long, these are 3 hours long, and dissect it and stick to the main points. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I gotta let you go. It's time for me to do the paperwork that I said I was going to do. So hopefully you all have a good day, and just remember, stick to your principles. But your principles, they have to be genuine. They can't be principles built on pride. Okay, principles that are built on pride can never last. They're not foundational. Pride has no foundation, ladies and gentlemen. That's why too much of it is dangerous. Okay, so stick to your principles. Have a good day, everyone.